Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. There are a few moments as significant for a company as their IPO when they first list on the stock market. It takes months or years of work preparing the company and rallying investors, so I can only imagine how it would feel for a founder to see their business finally hit the bourse. Today's the day for Racing and Sports, a Canberra-based family-run company listing on the ASX. Racing and Sports provides data to betting operators like Tabcorp, Sportsbet and Ladbrokes, with its attention firmly focused on the US after fixed odds betting was made legal. The listing has also grabbed the attention of UK giant Entain. Stephen Crispe is the Chief Executive of Racing and Sports and my guest this morning. Stephen, welcome to Fear and Greed and congratulations.
Thanks very much, Sean.
How's it feel to be listing?
Look, it's an amazing achievement for the business, which started as a small family business in the back of a garage over 20 years ago to where we are today. It's been an amazing journey for the business and a lot of evolutions, a lot of creation, a lot of innovation, a lot of firsts in the industry. So to undergo this IPO process is really the culmination of 20 years of that innovation and hard work, but particularly the last 12 months, as you'd expect, has been particularly grueling in terms of getting the business ready for IPO. However, the process is now complete and we're well on our way for that date.
Okay, so the question is, why are you doing it?
So Racing and Sports has reached a natural evolutionary growth point where we are now expanded into the UK and Europe and also looking to the US for additional growth. And access to capital markets gives us the ability to grow and scale at a much faster rate into those geographic regions, as well as create and develop our products further.
Okay, so capital, that'll provide you with the opportunity to grow more. Just take me through exactly what Racing and Sports does, but do it for me. I'm no expert in this area, so give me the 101.
Yeah, that's fine. So Racing and Sports has 5 key business lines, but really core to our DNA is data and content. Racing and Sports has been doing this for the full 20 years it's been around. We're experts in getting data, raw data, and actually enhancing that into premium data, knowledge-based products, and enhanced content that's supplied to our wagering operator customers. So if you're a Ladbrokes, for example, and you're one of our customers, we would provide you with everything from 5-start form, tips, race summaries, and race views. So essentially predicting how a race is going to be run, and also predicting how a horse is going to run in that race compared to the other horses. And this is all automated, so it's all computer-generated comment and content and data. And this is through frameworks that we've developed over the last 20 years as well. And a lot of intellectual property has been built up in that time to produce that content in the same consistent, high-quality manner that our customers expect. Yeah, we also have a wagering technology side of the business as well, which has only been around for a couple of years. And that's getting a lot of traction here in Australia as well as overseas. So a really exciting time for the company.
Okay, so those form guides that many of us read, they're actually computer generated, are they?
That's right. The content goes into the database on a daily basis. And there's a large processing machine, I guess you'd call it, which is set across the cloud and several different data centers, where it actually processes all this information to produce the high quality information that's sent out to our customers. The automation provides consistency, but it also provides efficiency and cost savings for our clients.
Okay, and so what I find interesting with a lot of those gaming organisations, increasingly over the last couple of years, they have really pushed the value add. So it's not just about putting $2 or $20 or $200 on a horse. It's actually about the form guides and all the other things that comes with it. And so that sort of back end stuff is where some of these providers actually rely on Racing and Sports to provide.
That's right. There's a real drive for high quality information because it's been shown that the quality of the information that a participant or a punter has, the more likely they are to actually participate on a betting event. So it's been very clear to us that our customers get very used to the type of information that Racing and Sports provides. They're highly reliant upon it, and we're obviously highly invested in producing that information, that content to the highest standard, and continuing to innovate to attract new demographics, new audiences, for our wagering operator customers.
So effectively, you're a data company as much as anything else. How do you manage all that information? I still find it quite remarkable that an organisation like yours and others can take so much data and somehow create a dashboard out of it or something that's comprehensible to someone like me.
Yeah, look, Sean, it's a very difficult process, and as you know, data is quite variable, even in the best of cases. And in some cases, when we deal with the data, it actually comes to us incomplete. Fortunately, Racing and Sports has invested heavily over the past 20 years, and particularly in the last 6 to 7 years, in creating and developing that scalable processing framework that allows us to process the raw data in a consistent and high-quality manner to create those information and knowledge products. We also have a skilled team who work out of Sri Lanka who actually curate the data and rectify any incomplete data sets as well. So it is quite a laborious process, but we've got it streamlined to an inch of its life, so to speak. And I think that's really what enables us to scale the business in the data space.
At the risk of flogging a dead horse, and that was a deliberate pun there, Stephen, where does it actually come from though? So how the horses run the last 3 times, there's a little line about up in class, look, prefer otherwise. Where does the actual primary source material come from?
Really good question. So a lot of that's actually built up through our artificial intelligence framework that actually writes those comments. So they're all automatically written by a computer, and in 9.9 out of 10 cases, you wouldn't be able to pick that it's actually been written rather from a computer as opposed to a person.
Yeah.
So the quality of our comments has gotten so good now, where we've taught the machine all those different phrases and terms and expressions, I guess, have been computerized and automated into the framework. So they're all produced based on human input. So a human's actually written them once or twice, and then the rule set in the algorithms essentially knows how to use those. When it looks at the data for a horse's previous runs, it knows what comments to actually piece together to actually write that comment.
Stay with me, Stephen. We'll be back in a minute. My guest today is Stephen Crispe, the Chief Executive of Racing and Sports. Okay, it sounds to me like another competitive advantage you have is actually 20 years of investing in automation and technology around pulling disparate data from around the world into one cohesive group. And of course, the business in Sri Lanka must be part of that too.
Absolutely. Racing and Sports has been at the forefront of data collection and curation and product development on the back of that as well. And look, the Sri Lankan team have been essential to that in terms of just finding good skilled labour who are also working in a geographic region that's sort of central, to all of our clients around the world. So it does work very well for us. We have a highly loyal Sri Lankan team. A lot of them have been with us for the whole time the company's existed over there in Sri Lanka as well. So It's a really good workforce.
Okay. Now, I mentioned the US. A number of corporate bookmakers from Australia are really pushing into the US and have done well in picking up state licenses. That's as a result of changes to gambling laws. What were the changes to gambling laws first, but then how big an opportunity is it, and where does Racing and Sports fit into it?
Yeah, so the US is coming of age, I guess is probably the best way to describe it. They have parimutuel betting, which is the same as what the TAB offers here in Australia. However, they only as recently have legalised for fixed odds betting on horse racing, which is obviously a new product for the US market. And the US market in that regard is potentially massive. And it's a relatively immature market as it stands today in comparison to, say, Australia and even the UK, which are a little bit further ahead in our journeys and rationalisation. So, Racing and Sports is obviously looking at the US like everybody else. We're actually already providing US content into Australia and New Zealand, and we're also providing it into the UK and Europe. So we're actually already covering the majority of US racing as an export product from the US on behalf of one of the rights holders in the US. And that will also enable us to be in good standing when the US market does come online en masse. And I think New Jersey is the only state in the US that's actually legalised fixed odds betting to date, but there are a couple of others that are in progress, from what I understand.
But presumably over the next 5 to 10 years, you'll be 20 or 30 states in the US will allow fixed odds betting, and fixed odds is the important phrase there. That must be a big opportunity for you guys if you have the technology already to provide the data.
Absolutely. We've already invested heavily in the US, and we've been working with the US for quite some time in terms of creating products for the US market to bet on international racing, so such as US-centric form guides and content for the US punter to punt on Australian racing. So as far as it goes, Racing and Sports is highly knowledgeable about US racing and the US product as well. So we're really excited about what the US holds, and as different states start to legislate for fixed odds betting, Racing and Sports will be there to support the wagering operators who require high quality information and content, as well as technology-based products and digital and media services.
Maybe it's the ubiquity of the gaming operators at the moment, but it just seems to be it's quite a golden period for betting, but a very strong period for betting, and that means it's a good period for an organisation like Racing and Sports. Maybe it's a COVID effect. I don't know. Am I reading that wrong? It just seems to be everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, look, the last few years have been particularly strong, but COVID certainly has had an effect to the positive, and it's obviously brought a lot of activities onto a digital platform or online. We've seen things like online shopping, the rise of online deliveries for food. They're just some examples of the real push that COVID's had. And I think wagering is exactly the same. I mean, in the UK, for example, where you have a lot of high street betting shops, I mean, they were sort of in a decline, I guess, before COVID. And I think during COVID, that's obviously accelerated. But those punters still looking to participate are actually now pushed online to open accounts with wagering operators. They're all looking for high quality information and content that they can consume and punt.
Okay. So what's the next few years hold for Racing and Sports? Where do you think you'll be in 5 years' time?
Look, good question. We're definitely pushing with the international expansion into the UK and Europe further. So we have ambitions to build a team on the ground in the UK. We've incorporated a Racing and Sports entity into the UK as well, which is exciting. And also the US, as we said, we're positioning for that now with domestic growth as the states legislate for fixed odds. And, that's, really the growth story. Also, our product development in the wagering technology space, and also continuing to innovate around our data and content space as well. So really sticking to our roots, sticking to our knitting, so to speak, and making sure we do what we do, but we do it the best of anybody in the world, and we believe we are.
Stephen, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks very much, Sean. Appreciate your time.
That was Stephen Crispe, Chief Executive of Racing and Sports, which lists today. This is a Fear and Greed Daily interview. Join me every morning for the full Fear and Greed podcast with all the business news you need to know. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.